In a quiet town where life moved slowly and evenings lingered longer than they should, there stood an old banyan tree beside a calm, glassy lake. Its branches stretched wide, and its roots fell back into the earth as if it was afraid to ever truly let go. That tree had seen countless stories, but this one stayed. Arif first climbed that tree to prove he wasn't afraid. He was 7, stubborn, and halfway up before he realized courage felt very different from what he had imagined. His hands tightened around the rough bark, his legs froze, and suddenly the ground looked too far away. "You're going to fall," a voice called from below. He looked down. A girl stood there, arms crossed, completely unimpressed. "I'm not," Arif replied, even though his voice shook. "Then come down." "I can't." She walked closer, tilting her head as if studying him. "So you climbed up just to get stuck?" "I didn't get stuck," he protested. "I just stopped." She rolled her eyes. "Jump. I'll catch you." He hesitated. "You won't catch me." "I will." "You're too small." "I'm not small. You're just scared." That was enough. Arif shut his eyes and jumped. He landed badly, scraping his knee and letting out a sharp cry. The girl froze for a second, then rushed forward. "I thought you'd land better," she said, panic mixing with her stubborn tone. "You said you'd catch me." "I tried. You didn't even move." "I was about to." He stared at her, hurt and annoyed. She stared back, guilty but unwilling to admit it. Then, quietly, she sat down beside him. "Okay, I didn't catch you," she said, "but I'm here now." And somehow, that mattered more. Her name was Mira. From that day on, the banyan tree became theirs. They met there almost every day, after school, before dinner, whenever they could escape the routines of life. It became a place where time felt slower, where the world didn't demand anything from them. They grew up together in the simplest way possible, sharing food, sharing secrets, sharing silence. Arif was impulsive, always chasing something just out of reach. Mira was steady, always grounding him before he went too far. "You think too much," he would say. "And you don't think at all," she would reply. Yet somehow, they balanced each other perfectly. Years passed quietly, the kind of quiet that hides change until it's already happened. One evening, as the sky turned soft shades of orange and pink, they sat under the banyan tree like they always did. But something felt different. Arif noticed it first. It was in the way Mira's laughter lingered a little longer in his mind. The way he found himself watching her when she wasn't looking. The way his chest felt tight when she talked about someone else. "What?" Mira asked suddenly. He blinked. "What? You're staring." "I'm not. You are." "I was just thinking about." He looked away. "Nothing important." She didn't push. But she noticed. Mira felt it too, though she couldn't explain it. Arif had always been part of her life, as natural as breathing. But now, his presence felt louder, more important, more fragile. And that scared her. Because if something felt this important, it meant it could be lost. The day everything changed didn't feel dramatic. It was quiet, almost too quiet. "I got accepted," Mira said, her voice careful. Arif looked up. "Accepted?" She nodded. "In Delhi." The words settled between them like something heavy. "That's really good," he said after a moment. "It's far," she added. "I know." Neither of them said what they were actually thinking. That distance changes things. That time changes people. That sometimes, what feels permanent, isn't. "I don't want this to end," Mira said softly. Arif shook his head. "It won't." "You don't know that." "No," he admitted. "But I know this. Whatever happens, you don't just disappear from someone's life like this." She looked at him, searching for something she couldn't name. "Promise?" she asked. "Promise." They didn't say "I love you," but it was there. In the silence. In the way neither of them wanted to leave. The beginning of distance didn't feel like distance at all. It felt like effort. Long calls late into the night. Messages filled with small details. Photos, jokes, complaints about life. Everything shared, just like before. It was different, but it was still them. "You wouldn't like it here," Mira teased once over the phone. "Why?" Too fast, too loud. Then why do you like it? There was a pause. Because it's mine now, she said. Arif didn't know how to respond to that. Slowly, almost invisibly, things began to shift. Calls became shorter. Messages became delayed. Days passed when they didn't talk at all. Not because they didn't want to, but because life kept moving. Mira built a new world for herself. New friends, new routines, new dreams that stretched beyond the small town she had left behind. Arif stayed, not stuck, but rooted. He built his own life, step by step, surrounded by familiar places that now felt quieter without her. One night, Mira sat by her window, the city glowing endlessly beneath her. She opened their chat, typed, "I miss you." She stared at it for a long time, then deleted it, because she didn't know what that meant anymore. Miles away, Arif sat under the banyan tree, the same place where everything had started. He typed, "Do you think we're still the same?" He deleted it too, because he was afraid of the answer. Years passed like this, not with a clear ending, just a slow drifting. They didn't lose each other in one moment. They lost each other in pieces, but not completely, never completely, because some connections don't break, they just stretch. 5 years later, Mira returned. The town felt smaller, quieter, familiar in a way that made her chest ache. Her feet led her without thinking to the banyan tree. It was still there. Of course it was. Some things don't leave. And neither, it seemed, had Arif. He stood there, leaning against the trunk, as if he had simply been waiting for her to come back. For a moment, they just looked at each other, taking in the changes, the years, the distance. "Hi," Mira said. Araf Raplia. No anger, no awkwardness, just something soft and unfinished. "You look different," she said. "So do you. Is that a good thing?" He smiled slightly. "I think so." They sat down under the tree, just like before, but not quite the same. "I thought we'd lose this," Mira admitted. Arif shook his head. "We lost a lot, but not this." She looked at him. "What is this?" He took a moment before answering. "This is knowing that no matter how far we go, no one else will ever feel like this." Her eyes softened. "Like home?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," he said. "Like home." "Do you ever think about what could have been?" she asked after a while. "All the time," he replied honestly. And he looked at the lake, the reflection of the sky rippling slightly. "I think we were right for each other," he said. "Just not at the right time." Mira let out a soft breath. "That sounds unfair." "It is." They both smiled a little. As the sun began to set, painting the world in warm gold, Mira spoke again. "I don't regret leaving," she said. "You shouldn't," Arif replied. "But I do regret not knowing how to keep you." He looked at her then. "You didn't lose me," he said gently. "You just couldn't carry me with you. And that's okay." Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't look away. "And you?" she asked. "Do you regret staying?" Arif shook his head. "No," he said. "Because this place, it still has you in it." They stood up as the light began to fade. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then their hands brushed. And this time, they didn't pull away. They held on. Not tightly. Not like they were trying to stop time. Just enough to feel it. Just enough to remember. Because some love stories don't end with forever. Some don't end at all. They simply exist. Across distance, across time, across different lives. Two people walking separate paths, yet forever joined by heart.